Hi, this is Mrs. Zhu, and we're going to start on our worksheet, practice chapter 5 test. We can have some music as we do this, but we're just going to leave it. Okay, we just got to be excited about math, really. That's why we do the music, but we're not going to listen to the music throughout the video. We have this fraction here we're subtracting, and it's asking us to find the next step using a common denominator to get our answer. So when we find a common denominator here, our common denominator is going to be 42. Now, how do I get to 42? You're going to look at your choices, and what's happening is that you're going to take the fraction that you begin with and multiply it by a new fraction. Okay? That new fraction is what is created in the parentheses. So if you look at choice letter D, you will see 3, 3 for the in the parentheses, and then a 2, 2. When we do 14 times 3, we get 42. If I do 21 times 2, I get 42, which is our common denominator, and so that's why the answer is D. All the other choices, if you multiply the denominators, they're not common at all. All right, skip down to number 3. How many quarts are in 1/6 and a 1/4 of a gallon? Now, this is an open-ended question, so we are going to need to work it out. Using fractions to convert, I'm going to first change the problem that I begin with and create a fraction that's improper. That fraction here would be 25 over 4 gallons. And I'm going to multiply by the new fraction I create, the one that involves the units of measurement. Now, the units of measurement are the 4 quarts that make 1 gallon. So what I want to get to my answer is to get to quarts, so I put that in my numerator, and then I put gallons in my denominator. This is what I want in my numerator. This is what I already have, is quarts. So I know that there are 4 quarts, so I put the 4 in the numerator. There's to every 1 gallon in the denominator. Then I multiply across, and I can do cross-canceling when I multiply. And so I can cancel the gallons and the gallons, which is exactly what I want to just get quarts for my answer. And I'm going to cancel the 4 and the 4. Here my answer is going to give me 25 quarts over 1, which is really just the answer, 25 quarts. My final answer. We're going to skip down to number 7. Okay, I have 7/18 plus 16/45. I'm adding fractions. When I add fractions, would I use I heart KFC? Whoopsies. Do I? No, I don't use that for addition. I do use it for only division. Only division. Okay, when I add fractions, should I cross cancel? No, I don't want to cross cancel when I add. When I add fractions, do I need to have a common denominator? Yes, I do. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do here. The common denominator between 18 and 45 is kind of a large number, but that's going to be 90. Okay? 18 times 5 gives us 90, and 45 times 2 gives us 90. So whatever I do in my denominator, I also do that in my numerator. Okay? What I'm going to get is 35 plus 32 in my numerator. When I add fractions, should I add all of the numerators and all of the denominators? No. Okay? I only want to add the numerators and getting 67, and then keep your denominators. So add the numerators, but keep your denominator, okay, and get 90. So this fraction would be my answer, A. And number 11, okay, I'm going to start out figuring out how many quarts are in 20 cups. So when I begin my question, I use the improper fraction to start, because I'm going to use fractions to multiply. So I start with 20 cups over 1, and then I'm going to multiply a new fraction, which is the units that I need. The units that I need are quarts and cups. Now, it says 2 cups is 1 pint, but 2 pints is 1 quart. So I'm going to actually multiply 2 separate fractions. And if we know how to multiply one fraction together, that's fine too. Let me show you that afterwards. I know that there's cups, and I want to get to pints, and then I have pints for every quart. Okay, and remember, because I want quarts, what I want is quarts in my final answer. And if I just check across, cups cancels, pints cancel, which tells me I have all the right units in the correct place. Then I fill in the numbers. 2 cups, 1 pint, 2 pints, 1 quart. Okay, some of us might have created a fraction like 20 cups over 1, but then the fraction we created was 4 cups for every 1 quart, and that's okay for us to do that. And you'll notice that that's what is happening here actually. So when we go to simplify our fraction, then I'm able to write 20 over 4 here, which is the same as 5, which is the same here if I cancel cups, put a 5 here, put a 1 here, I still get 5 cups as my final answer, just like I do with multiplying 2 fractions instead of 1 fraction. Okay, number 12. I have negative 3.24 times 10 to the negative 2. Now, typically in scientific notation, we haven't talked about the negatives, but when we talk about negatives, then the negative number has to be between negative 10 and negative 1. Okay? And here, the negative 2 tells us that I move my decimal 2 to the left. Okay, so then the decimal is going to go 1, 2. So I'm going to get point, add a 0, then a 3 and a 2 and a 4, and it's a negative number. So that's my answer for 12, the letter B. Number 15, let's do that question. I'm looking for the one with the least value. Okay, the smallest one. Now, 4.8 times 10 to the negative 3 means that I'm moving my decimal 1, 2, 3 times to the left, adding 2 zeros in front of the 4. For B, I have 2.1 times 10 to the negative 2, means I'm going to take the decimal and move it 2 times to the left, giving me 1 0 in front of the 21. The second problem, I have 5.4 times 10 to the negative third, telling me that I'm going to move my decimal 1, 2, 3 to the left, decimal here, adding 2 zeros. And then D, I have 9.1 times 10 to the negative 4, telling me that I move my decimal 1, 2, 3, 4, and adding 3 zeros. And if I look at all of the answers that I get, it seems that when I had a negative 2, I move my decimal twice, but 0.2 is actually not as small as maybe 0.004 or 0.0054, and so B is definitely not my answer. Then what I should notice is that then when there was negative 3 and negative 3, I got these 2 zeros in front of the 4 and the 8 and the 5 and the 4, giving me these 2 decimals. This one is still smaller than letter C, choice C. Okay, which definitely not C. But then when I look at, if I move the decimal again one more time to the left because I had a 4, then what that gave me was 0.00091. And if I compare it with 0.0048, then I know that the 0 is definitely smaller than a 4, meaning D is my answer. So what you'll see is that when the decimals are moving, if the number gets, if I have smaller number, that number gets smaller. So smallest was the negative 4, smaller than negative 3, negative 2. Okay, and that kind of applies also for number 14. I'm looking for the biggest power there. Okay, on number 19, which number is rational? Rational. Rational numbers mean fractions. Are any of them fractions or can be fractions? Oh yeah, so if I look at my choices, I definitely know C is not it because pi is irrational. Square root of 32, could it be a rational fraction? Oh no, it's not a perfect square, so definitely not that one. Okay, so we don't want that. C, and yes, D is the square root of 5/25. which is the same as square root of 5, square root of 25, but we also don't have a perfect square root for this part, so definitely not D. So A is my answer, because negative square root of 1/16 is a fraction that can be the square root of 1, square root of 16, and still negative, which gives us two perfect square roots, perfect, both are perfect, which is 1/4 with a negative in the front. That's why A is rational. And we're going to finish up with a few more problems. Number 22. If I have 6 11ths and I divide by 2 11ths, when I am dividing, should I find common denominators? No. How about, should I use I heart KFC for dividing? Yes. Can I cross cancel when I divide? Yes, but after you do KFC. Okay, after you do the changing the sign, because once it's multiply, then you can cancel. So let's do that. Nothing is improper, or I don't need to change anything to improper. K, keep the first. Keep the first. F, flip the second. Okay, flipping that one. F here. K here. And C is change sign. So I'm going to change that to multiply. I'm going to cancel the 11s. Cancel the 6 and the 2, getting 3 and a 1. Oh, answer is 3. Awesome. Answer D. Okay, and have a great time studying. That's all I'm going to do.